Okay, so we are live now. Let me.
Fantastic.
Okay, excellent. Pragna, you're able to hear me loud and clear?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening to all the viewers. We've got a special guest today, Pradnya. So, we'll know a lot and learn a lot about what she's doing. And, I know for sure you'll be getting so much value addition today from watching this session. Either you are watching it live or you're probably catching up on YouTube later on. But yeah, just to introduce myself before we start, I'm Girish Belur in UK, originally from Bangalore. BCom and ICW background. Used to work in EY as a director and in a couple of other companies as a senior director before. But now I'm retired and then running my own couple of companies now. I'm very fortunate to come across Pragna, and who's from the HR background. So you'll be learning and hearing from her going forward. And she's also from Belgaum. Okay, so with that, I'll hand it over to Pradnya so that she can introduce herself, because I might not be doing justice when I try to introduce Pragna. So over to you, Pragna.
Thank you so much, Girishji. First of all, before I dive in and introduce myself, I would want to take this opportunity to thank you and the entire team of Global Indians, Kannada Diaspora, for inviting me on this wonderful, wonderful podcast today. We've exchanged some talks, and I was really excitedly looking forward to it. So, my heartfelt thank you to everybody. Secondly, my heartfelt thank you to everyone who has joined live today. I may not be able to see each one of you or know your names. However, behalf of Girish ji and the entire team of Global Indians community, I would want to thank each one of you who have joined the live session on a Sunday evening. So thank you so much. Um, as Girish ji mentioned, I am Pradnya Punekar. Currently, I'm a co-founder of People Element Consulting Limited, which is a firm which is a learning and development and a coaching firm based in UK, but obviously we have clients all over. I wouldn't say all over the world, in India and few other countries. Um, to dive in and talk a little bit about, share a little bit more about me, I carry over 15 plus years of experience in the field of HR. Worked with some of the top organizations in India, such as HCL Tech and Flipkart, to name a few, and a few other startups in India. Post which I moved to UK, and we'll talk about my UK stint when we reach that phase. But yes, in UK, I worked with one of the biggest construction projects called Thames Tideway London, which was a British government project. And I worked there over there as an HR director. Post that, I started my own NGO called Katha Stories Unheard, which Girishji is very well aware. The idea was to publish women entrepreneur stories. And we all know that as women, we all go through our own set of challenges. And for a woman to continue in her career and aspire and start entrepreneurship journey in itself is a big challenge or a big achievement as well. So the idea was to bring forward those stories to inspire them who are doing really, really amazing work. At the same time, inspire a lot of women community to aspire and go for their dreams, achieve them. So that was my NGO called Katha Stories Unheard. I'm a proud mom of two young boys. And if anybody asks me what is my fitness secret, it is my two boys. I do some fitness here and there, but they keep me on my toes. Of course, a proud wife uh, to my husband, who is extremely supportive in my career journey and has been my business coach as well in my entrepreneurship journey. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Excellent, Pradnya. And so say hi and thank you to Amol as well. Our Landra, without his support, probably, it'll be difficult for you to,
Absolutely.
start what you started as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, he's been my business coach from the time I started my entrepreneurship journey. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
And
So,
not to forget
yeah,
my parents and my in-laws both.
yeah,
But yeah, I will talk about it when we talk a little bit about my family background. But both
yeah.
have been really amazing backbone and support.
So you are from Belgaum. You want to share some, education where you did and hometown and, when you came to UK.
Yeah, so my hometown is Belgaum, and my education has been all around in Belgaum. I did my master's and MBA from Belgaum. Just a little bit about my family background. So, I come from a family with a very beautiful blend of strong Indian values, strong Indian culture. My father was into legal and HR profession and working in an aluminum company in Belgaum. So there was a lot of professional and a corporate culture as well in my house. So it was a very beautiful blend of Indian and strong values, which was there as a part of a lot of our Indian families. And my father was working there, and he's retired, of course, now. But there was a lot of professional culture and ambition
Mm.
that actually came from my father. And my mother was a housewife. But having said that, a lot of life skills and a lot of uh, things such as resilience and adaptability is what she taught me. She supported a lot. So that's a little bit about my background. My great grandfather was a freedom fighter.
Oh,
And
excellent.
so that means that there was a lot of social service sort of environment as well in our house.
Yeah,
So yes, that little bit about that, and that kind of and at the same time, coming from a family which really emphasized a lot on education, and my father a lot on ambition. So
mm.
that's where I drive a lot of passion for people. That's where my ambition for people came into picture. That eventually got translated into working in the corporate organizations that I worked for, and for an ambition for people to grow and thrive and to help them transform, which eventually translated into organizations and communities.
Oh, okay.
Um, I moved to UK in 2014 when my husband got a transfer from his job in 2014. My eldest son was a year old that time.
Oh,
And after I moved to UK, I had about 8+ years of experience in the HR field, obviously worked with some of the top companies then. And I assumed that because I have the top brands on my CV, top names on my CV, and I was always called or called for interviews in India. I never went hunting for a job per se. I sort of assumed that that might be the situation when I moved to UK. But the reality really hit me hard, I should say.
I know, people are struggling even though they have a lot of experience in India. When they come here in UK, the first thing they ask is, you don't have UK experience. It's kind of a chicken and egg situation, right?
It is.
So.
It is. So I faced something very similar situation, Girishji.
Mm.
Obviously, I started looking for a job, but I faced similar challenges like you don't have an experience in UK. Recruiters and job descriptions where my CV was the exact fit. However, I would get recruiters call, but never got heard back.
Yeah,
But with my, as I said, I had a lot of ambition. I had a lot of commitment. I had a lot, and there was one thing which is very evident in me. That is the zeal for learning. So I really dived into that zeal for learning in per se, and really tried to understood what the market was over here.
okay.
So every failure, every rejection that came my way, I took that as a learning. But obviously, it didn't come on the first day.
Yeah.
I had my own learning journey there. So I learned to network for the first time when I moved to UK. I know it may sound uh, not real, but after 8 years of experiences when I learned networking. But networking is what actually then helped me to get my uh, job or a break in UK.
Yeah, no, very true. I think, see, one of the things which, we are not taught in schools or colleges is, about social skills, soft skills, networking skills. And if you, when you're in the corporate, when you're growing, the first thing they insist on you is go and network.
True, very
Uh,
true.
so, that again, probably which we, discussed earlier
Yeah,
when we were speaking this early this week, that 85% is the soft skills that people look for, and it's only the 15% the technical skills, right? But
absolutely.
yeah. So, just before we get into the topic, I just want to, share how many languages do you speak, Pragna?
So I speak about four languages.
Wow.
One, everybody is already listening to. I wouldn't want to emphasize on that. But the other languages that I speak are Marathi, Kannada, and Hindi, of course. And on that note, I would want to say ಎಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಇವತ್ತು. So thank you. It has been, I actually brushed or rather learned a little bit deeper Kannada when I moved to Bangalore. Because we are from Belgaum, our Kannada is a little different.
Different, ಅಲ್ಲ?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಪ್ಯೂರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋದೆ ನನಗೆ ವೆನ್ there was a lady who used to come and she would be like ಅಮ್ಮ ಈರುಳ್ಳಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ I was like completely lost is this really Kannada so yes so I would say I can proudly say I can talk good Kannada that is
Uh,
only because I probably brushed on the Bangalore Kannada when I was living in
Excellent.
Bangalore.
Yeah, that's a beauty, every region has its own twist to the language.
True.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಕನ್ನಡ, ತುಮಕೂರು ಕನ್ನಡ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್
ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ
ಧಾರವಾಡ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ.
ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ ಹೌದೌದು ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇರೆ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಧಾ the dialects what we call
ಹಾ,
and the slangs what are there
ಹಾ,
they're very different
ಹಾ,
so but I love Bangalore Kannada.
ಹಾ.
I know people who are going to watch from Belgaum are going to be like what are you talking about
I was hearing Professor B.M. Hegde's
uh,
talk, earlier,
uh,
and he was saying that Kannada is the third oldest language.
hmm.
So Sanskrit is first, and then second you're saying German, and third is Kannada. Okay, so we are proud to be the third oldest language in the world.
True.
Uh, Okay, so what is your passion, Pradnya? You want to expand on that. I know, you are exposed to the HR element based on your father's, profession and all those. But, I think you already said, because of the service which is there in your great grandfather and all, that is what pulled you towards dealing with people. Because a lot of people hesitate when it comes to dealing with people. I want to be just technical. I don't want to manage people. That's the most difficult part of a job. So I don't want to take that leap, because only if you start, being good with dealing with people, only then you can grow as a leader or in any corporate world, right? So what would you want to share based on your passion?
So I think I'll begin with a little bit about around my passion first, when you specifically asked about the passion part, right? Um, and then I'll probably come to the part of dealing with people
Yeah.
that's that area. So my passion in just two words, if I have to say it, is people and stories.
Mm.
So I'm extremely passionate about people, and that is what drew me to develop and grow a career in human resources. Just the fact that I want to really help people learn and help them thrive and grow, where they're able to unlock their own potential.
Mm.
See, every human, as we say, we are talking about people now.
Yeah.
Every person has a potential. There is something that everybody is doing, but there is a hidden potential everybody has,
Yeah.
which is unlocked. So for me, the passion was to really help people unlock that own potential, unlock their own strengths and their own passions, their own purpose. So that
Yeah.
was really where my passion grew for people, where I want to give an example over here. So when for the first time I actually got a job in one of the startups, and that was my first time as a manager. And there was a young intern we had hired, a young girl who was just out of she didn't just did her MBA. And obviously young out of the college, so just very basic things as to how do you talk in a meeting? How do you present an idea? How do you build that relationships with people? Because I was her manager and I was so passionate about the human centeredness or this human skills. So I did mentor her, I did sort of train her in that area. And that is where that spark lit me in more in me, that
Mm.
beyond the while my role has been also on the business side of things,
Mm.
bringing the people strategies, and that is also my very passionate areas. But that's when I realized that I love doing this more. Uh, and that example, then I started diving deep into it. And over time, that passion grew from individuals to organizations where I really wanted to bring forward world-class strategies, world-class people strategies to organizations,
Mm.
build really strong culture.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I think the passion was about where organizations are not just focusing on performance,
Yeah.
but they are also focusing on sustainable growth. So that's where it drew, and then obviously to communities, right? So I think that's where, and stories, as I said, Katha Stories Unheard is my one of the most passionate projects of it's an NGO, and the idea was you have a wonderful story, Girishji, right? About your childhood, about your upbringing, about your college days, which has actually shaped your experiences and who you are today as an entrepreneur. And to really understand that is something that I realized that that was a curiosity which I didn't think I had in me. But through the journey, I realized that's a curiosity I have to develop.
Mm. Yeah.
So coming to that part, when you asked me about dealing with people
Yeah.
in terms of especially focusing on people who are technically very strong or technical group of people, what do you do to I want
Enhance.
to stay away from people and um, I want to develop, I just want to focus on technical skills. I want to not get into the people part of thing. But I think the first thing, I would say what really obviously one part was a service, like you said, which got me inclined to people, which is why my passion built there because of my family culture and value for them to help and grow in their careers and organizations. That was one aspect in me. But the second aspect, I would say, is really that curiosity. What could be Girishji's background? There's something that, that probably I can understand and learn from your journey, which will help me in my own journey. Uh, just that curiosity really helped me to expand my people skills or people abilities, I would say. The second part over there, I would say, specifically when you ask about what is that one aspect when you talk about technical and they want, I would just want to be restricted to technical skills and not move to people. So going beyond stories, first is a curiosity, I would say, just be very, very curious and just being very non-judgmental,
Mm.
because a lot of times we all carry some baggages. We all carry our own baggages. So being very non-judgmental and just being curious to understand what could be your story, what could be your thing. So developing that, converting that curiosity is already there in everybody and even in technical people, which is
Yeah.
why they are so technically amazing. But switching that to humans, saying that what could be that person's story, I think that will really help. So having that curiosity towards people and being very non-judgmental is
Yeah.
first thing I would say. I think second thing I would say is developing a lot of listening skills, where really trying to listen and understand people aspect in terms of who they are, where they come from, what is their background, just developing some sort of a curiosity there and trying to understand um, is one of the, is another thing. Uh,
Yeah.
the third thing I would say over there specifically is learning how, developing that social confidence.
Mm.
Because what happens, so I have also worked with a lot of IT organizations. And because of the role which is there, which is so confined to computers in one place, working with a lot of software and hardware sort of a thing, there is a very limited sort of an interaction between people in that kind of a role, because you specifically mentioned about technical roles. There's a very limited, overlap. So, which is why what happens is for those kind of roles or those kind of people, the social interaction becomes very limited.
Mm.
So, looking for opportunities and looking for platforms where they are able to develop that social confidence is very important. So, be it in a meeting where they can start small in terms of just asking a question, just asking a question by, can I know what do you mean by that? Can you
Mm.
explain?
Yeah.
I think that one question can really lead to one, a confidence among them to develop that social confidence, and two, to really then understand other aspects of it. So, working on some of these things play a very important role, which is social confidence.
Yeah.
And the fourth thing that I would say is specifically, again, as you mentioned, specifically because you were specifying on the technical part, uh, developing the other social skills, focusing on that. I think we'll talk about that as
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
progress, but yeah,
So, yeah, no, those are great points, Pradnya, because, a lot of us don't have the self-confidence,
yeah.
and because that is one of the reason is we've been hearing a lot of no's than yeses in our life throughout our life. Yeah. I think that there are several platforms as well which helps us develop these kind of skills like Toastmasters and all those things will help you, overcome your fear of public speaking. Again, I keep hearing Chetna, my wife, say,
Mm.
God has given us two ears and one mouth. So our ears has to work more than the mouth, right? Okay. So what do you want to achieve, Pragya? In life, what do you want to achieve?
That's a very difficult question, I should say. Definitely. Um, but I'll try to answer that in the best possible way that I can. I think, first of all, uh, I would really want to be one of the best humans that I could and explore and grow myself.
Mm.
That's the first thing I would say. If anybody says, what do you really mean by human? I think everybody knows what human is. And in a world of AI, in a world of technology, in a world which is growing so fast, and even with people element, we are now exploring a lot of tech part of it. Yes, we cannot stop technology. We cannot say no to it, but embracing that part of our current lives, I just want to be really, really a good human.
Mm.
I think that's the first where I explore throughout all the dimensions of humans, whether it is physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, because I wouldn't say religious. So religion is very different from spirituality. I want to specify that. But
Mm.
spiritually, I want to explore and grow as being one of the best human beings and have the best human experiences I can have and give best human experiences to people. That's the first thing I would say. To really specify a little bit more professionally and personally, I would want to sort of divide that. I think professionally, I really want to build an ecosystem where individuals, organizations, and communities, I want to reshape the way organizations and individuals really grow and thrive and work together. And over there, we really, I wouldn't say I, because we have a company now. So we really want to reshape that. And over there, specifically look at learning and development aspect and make it accessible, affordable, impactful, and meaningful to people across all the three dimensions, individually, organizations, and communities. And we really want to reshape that because, like you rightly mentioned, just want to give an example over there. There are a lot of emotional intelligence workshops that we do for leaders who are, just want to give an example there, who are in their age group of, let's say, 45 or 50. And when we talk about very basic emotional intelligence, trust me, I wouldn't want to take names because I want to keep that part confidential. There are so many people, Girishji, who come and tell me that, Pradnya, you know what? I was not even aware about emotional intelligence. As in, they're aware about the word.
Mm.
Emotional intelligence is there. They hear in big jargons, Forbes magazine, HBR. It's all there. It's all, people are reading it. But when we really talk about, okay, let's talk about ABC person, you sit down and dive in your emotional intelligence. They are not aware. If you look at it, and let's not tie it to the age now, but we have leaders who are in the age of 45 to 50. And look, that really amazes me. At the age of 50, at such a huge leadership level, people are still not aware of their own emotional intelligence.
Mm.
And we really want to shape that.
Yeah.
People should be aware about, yes, I want to have my emotion, I want to at least be aware of it. If not do anything, at least just be aware of
Yeah.
what it is when they enter the corporate world, because it plays an important role. So
Yeah.
that's what we want to do professionally over there. And we want to build that where learning is not a privilege.
Yeah.
It has to be a pathway for every student, every professional, every leader. And over there, two segments I want to specify. One is college students. We have a program called Pathway to Success, which is bridging the campus to corporate gap, where we are preparing students for the corporate world, build these skills, emphasize on soft skills, like you rightly mentioned,
Mm.
bring awareness to them, and develop the future leaders. So that's one segment. The second is women, because I'm very passionate about women communities. Uh, really help them build those leadership skills. We all know, I do not want to throw percentages because I think the Zoom and the YouTube light might just go off. If we talk about the percentage gaps at the leadership level, the gender gap,
Mm.
but there's a huge gap there. And
Yeah.
of course, a lot of people might say, just one person and a small company, what could you do? But I am of a strong believer that uh, small drops make a mighty ocean.
True. True.
So that's the second segment we want to focus on. Of course, we are working with all, I mean, the corporate world and everybody per se, but two specific areas there.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I want to lead by example for my two sons, in terms of leading by purpose, leading by passion, leading
Yeah.
by values, very strong values, and
True.
show them that leading by ambition, I would say, I definitely want my sons to be ambitious.
True.
Whether they become or not, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But I want to lead by example and explore that part of it. And family is a core of me, my heart, Girishji. My family, when I
Mm.
say my husband, my kids, my parents, my in-laws, my relatives, my friends. So all the roles and all the hats that I wear personally, I've got some really amazing friends and really very close friends. Want to be the best on those roles that I play. So that's what I want to achieve. I know a little bit longish, but
Yeah, no, the very deep as well, just understanding that itself, becoming a best human itself, has a lot of meaning in it. Once you start looking internally, and
true,
that is when you start realizing, what you have a potential and what you can do. See, one is, you can give, whether the other person accepts it or not, that's it. It's up to them.
up to them.
But
Absolutely.
you have done your duty, or you have done what activity, what you think was justified.
Yes.
Yeah. So very true,
Very
Pragna. I think,
beautifully put, I would say. That selfless giving, selfless
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
may not sound very right in the world of corporate world and business world.
Yeah. No, there was one, Dr. Gurraj Karjige always talks about this. He says, do you know who was the richest person in 1990s or 2000 or, 2005 or whatever?
Hmm.
And nobody will know the answer. But do you know the your great grandparents' name? Nobody will know their great grandparents' name unless, like, if they've done major service and then. So, but everyone knows Mahatma Gandhi, everyone knows Swami Vivekananda, everyone knows Mother Teresa, though they are not related to us. Why? Because they have served the community so much, they have served people so much. That is why, even though we are not related to them, we still remember them. Even 100 years beyond, also, people will still remember them, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Very true.
yes.
I think on that note, if you don't mind, I just want to
Yeah,
share because you mentioned those names. I want to
yeah,
share an example for from the corporate world because I'm
yeah,
assuming there are a lot of people who have joined on YouTube or who would watch the live stream later on or working in the corporate world. And I
yeah.
want to give a corporate relative example over here. As you mentioned, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa are really fantastic role models for all of us who have done amazing service. However, there's one example which just came to my mind and I thought was more relevant to the corporate world. So we all know Indra Nooyi, who was a
Mm,
former CEO of PepsiCo.
mm,
I had actually seen a small video which spoke about when she was a CEO of PepsiCo. She really did something really amazing, which not many leaders have done it or do it. Is she used to actually write letters handwritten by her
mhm.
more than 400 employees' parents,
Wow.
handwritten, okay? And what she would write in that is basically she would specify and emphasize on the values and ethics, right? When you were talking about human and all of that. And
Yeah,
how, because of their upbringing, because of their parents' upbringing, those values and ethics which are there, which are more core to human,
yeah,
have been inculcated in those individuals who are working there. And she would thank them not for anything else, but only for those two areas.
mhm.
So, this is not a corporate strategy if you look at it. This is not written saying that 1 plus 1 is 2 or 2 plus 2 is 4,
True.
or it's not. It's not a scalable strategy, scalability strategy, and stuff like. If you look at it, it's a very simple human act, but that really impacted her as a leader. Why do we look up? Why do a lot of women look up to Indira Nooyi today? Not just women, everybody.
Yeah.
And the reason is because of this. She was so human in her approach, coming from a Madras, which is called Madras then, Chennai, a very more, middle class family. So if you look at it, these are the leaders who have also created impact on a corporate level. I wanted to specify that. So a lot of people might have uh, assumptions or perceptions that we talk of service, it may not work in the corporate
Cor-
world, human values, etc., etc. But I have come across so many leaders and entrepreneurs, and I wanted to specify one which everybody knows. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. No, very, very, very true. Very good example as well, because I didn't know about this as well. So,
yeah, yeah.
mm. You want to share what is your current offerings, Pradnya, on skill development, people element, and also you want to touch on the leadership development aspect as well.
Sure. So we have two verticals as of now, and I want to specify over there if anybody thinks that, oh, they have the two verticals have already set, they have already come up just like that from where? No, absolutely not. It's been before I really talk about current offerings, I want to dive in a little bit and just take half a second or a minute to tell that uh, we've had our own set of trials, errors, experiments, failures, learnings. And from that is when we have current offerings now. It may sound very structured to a lot of people now, but it was absolutely not this structured when we started off. There were days when I had no idea what were we doing in spite of having 15 plus years of experience from HR. But yes, it's been a journey of a lot of failures and learnings and pushing myself out of the comfort zone. So we have two verticals. One is the corporate vertical. As a part of that, we have about 5 or 6 skill development programs. But having said that, I wouldn't want to specify everything, but we do customize based on the corporate needs. We are a mostly 80%, 80 to 85% B2B business. By that, what I mean is we cater and our services offerings are directly to corporate organizations. Just 10 to 15% is where we do individual workshops, sort of a thing. As a part of the corporate vertical, we obviously have skill development programs, skill and competency development programs. For example, it could be leadership development, it could be client, client communication for business success. Or recently, we've done one with a startup which we've been working for a few months, where we did a workshop on creative thinking for innovation. It's a startup in AI. Women leadership programs, or there I would want to specify aspiring women leadership programs. We also have, we do a bit of organizational development, which is a little different. It is more at an organizational level and not at an individual level. But those projects have been very few. We focus more on skill development. Uh, so these are some of the programs that we do. Again, over there, it could be communication, confidence building. We've also done something around mindset. Over there, I want to specify, because you did mention about technical, and how that mindset is very important to look at, so it's just that mindset shift of how, even in today's world, in the space of leadership, a lot of people look at leaders who have a growth mindset. So we do programs on mindsets, etc. So these were some of the programs that, if people, I just thought I'll share. Uh, Second vertical we have is a college program, and I think I touched on that a little bit. The mission is to bridge the campus to corporate gap. Over there, again, the idea is where we prepare, equip, and empower students with the key skill sets which are required, but specifically focusing on soft skills development, and prepare them for the competitive world that they would be getting into, prepare them for today's world. Uh, and as you mentioned, I think I've seen in my own experience when I started off my career in recruitment, actually. And when I would do recruitment, I've seen it very commonly that a lot of technical people feel that soft skills are not needed.
Mhm.
But believe me or not, 6 out of 10 times, unless it's a very technical role, I like a technical lead or an architect sort of a role, which is very tech focused, then obviously the tech part takes a lot more weightage. But otherwise, when they are moving into leadership roles, and I want to specify leadership roles, 8 out of 10 times the hiring managers have selected people who have been in amazing soft skills, people's communication, adaptability, etc., etc. So yeah, so preparing students, and as I said, early on, about 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, we've seen that people still feel that technical people feel it's not important,
Mhm.
and that is one of the reasons why people start feeling stuck. I'm
Mhm.
not able to grow. I'm not.
Right.
So we want to bring that awareness at a very early on.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say transformative, but at least an awareness where they know that these are the skills I have to build on.
yeah,
So we preparing young leaders, because as we all know that yes, there is a saying that leaders are born, but we all know that leadership is a skill which can be learned. Understanding your own leadership style, what leadership means in today's world. So preparing young leaders. So we do that
yeah,
specifically for the college students.
yeah. Wish we had that when we were studying, Pragna.
I actually, you know what, Karichi, even I would want to say that. Wish even I had that. I think I am younger to you, and I started off my career a little much later than you started off. But the reality wasn't different for me either. I have learned I've basically carved my journey by my own learning and experiences.
Yeah, on that note, what would you suggest, how, women in the current world of employment, how they can overcome the challenges? Because, these challenges are
Yeah,
common, right?
yeah, yeah.
Especially for us, Asian background. So what would you suggest? What tips can you give them?
So I think to specifically talk about some of the challenges that women face, right? The first challenge that I have seen very commonly in women is the confidence gap and the imposter syndrome. So things such as I'm not good enough, my skills are not good enough, I may not be able to do uh, that role or that job. So I think that is one of the key things that which is first, which I think women really, really need to focus on, where how can they enhance their self confidence. And over there I would say some of the key things, some of is there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of techniques, but however, first really begins with an assessment with your own self. Where are we, where am I, what are my skill sets, and what are my gaps, specifically when it comes to confidence and imposter syndrome. So I think giving a lot of assessments over there, it could be journaling, it could be feedbacks from people, it could also be taking some sort of self assessment. There are a lot of self assessment tools which are freely available now in the market. So doing some sort of a self assessment around that, uh, or asking some reflective questions. Now, one of the things that we also do as a part of our own workshops is called coaching. And you could also self coach yourself, where you ask questions as to what inspires me, what stops me from talking to people, what makes me scared when I am on stage. What is so these sort of reflective questions where one of the things that we professionals don't do when we move to professional world is we forget to sit with ourselves. So we call it as reflective learning. A lot of our learning has already happened in the past. So what is important for us to understand is first, what are the things which have worked for us, and what are the things which are not working for us. That reflection, because you also need to unlearn. So I would say the first part for women specifically is to, the self-confidence part and imposter syndrome. I want to give an example over here. So I was interviewing a very, very senior woman. I used to do interviews as well, and I was interviewing a very senior woman who was working in Paris in a very big bank. I wouldn't want to take the name there. And when the CEO of the bank resigned, she was actually offered the role of a CEO.
Mm.
Do you know what she actually did, Girishji? Can you even guess what she would have done?
Mm.
She said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to ask my husband and I'm going to come back. It's a very small example.
Mm.
So if you think of it, this talks really, I mean, I can elaborate the example. She really beautifully narrated. She went up to becoming a CEO of the bank.
Uh-huh.
But what I wanted to specify over here specifically to women is about self-confidence, is about imposter syndrome, is about the societal barriers that hold us back. And she was an Asian woman, Indian, okay?
Mm.
The Asian woman. So the societal barriers that hold us back.
Mm.
So I think working on these things are very important. These are some of the tools which I just mentioned.
Yeah.
The second I would actually say is, overcome. So embrace a very important is embrace a leadership mindset.
Mm.
It's very important. Like as I said, mindset is very important over here. So embracing a leadership mindset, developing leadership skills over there. What I have seen in my experience, skills such as strategic thinking, decision making, very important. Especially if you're in a very startup or a volatile, decisions have to be fast.
Past and
Yeah. So decision making, uh, strategic thinking, problem solving. So these are some of this leadership skills which I think they need to work on. The third is a skill gap,
mm.
which is there. All of us have skill gaps. What happens is when we are in a certain role, there is a certain expectation and we are operating at a certain level. But when somebody wants to move up to a role, it could be a man or a woman, doesn't matter. There is a gap. Over there, what happens is women fear to take that plunge. The gap is there. So, any role that any woman, anybody wants to get into, please understand that you are never 100% ready for that role.
Yeah.
We all know just 60 or 70%, or approximately. The other 20, 30% is always your learning, which is going to be on the job. So
Yeah.
be prepared for that skill gap which is there. Just be prepared for you to work on that. Uh,
Yeah.
that's the third thing that I would say, which is a skill gap that every woman, and there are a lot of skills as I mentioned, nothing one specific over here. The fourth, which I want to emphasize a little bit in the skill, is the communication skills. Very important. And when we talk specifically about communication skills, it's not just about talking, it's not just about sharing, it's about influencing, it's
Yeah.
about storytelling, it's about persuasive skills, it's about convincing, it's about presenting your idea in a way. So it's also about, I want to give an example over here. And I think I wanted to cover that as a part of unconscious bias, but
Mhm.
I think I'll
Yeah.
club it together. So the fourth was communication, and it's very important, plays in especially when women want to move into leadership roles.
Yeah.
Uh, for example, and I wouldn't want to generalize, and please, I want to say this to both men and women, don't take it personally, and even to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If a man is actually coming across as assertive in a meeting, that's taken as a very fantastic leadership skill. But when a woman is coming across assertive, unless it's a fantastic culture or an organization, most times she comes across as aggressive.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot has to be done around leadership, etc., etc. I just want to give this example. Just a very small thing. If I have to put across being a very assertive and say that no, this is not how it should be done. But so I think that developing those skills are very important. You know how that is where the unconscious bias comes into picture. So, bias which is there around gender, female and how things are perceived. That's very common. And I can actually talk more into it, but I'm just being a little mindful out of time because I want to cover the
Yeah.
other points. But I just wanted to give one small example on how unconscious bias also, and
Yeah.
even if a woman is actually perceived and come across as assertive, again, I want to go back to Indra Nooyi. In her book, which is My Life in Full,
Mhm.
she's written very clearly that women have to accept that if they want to move up the ladder, it is going to be a tough journey. It is not going to be easy. I wouldn't say it is easy for a man. Please don't get me wrong. But for a woman, it is still difficult. So
Yeah.
you have to be prepared for that journey. And by that, what I mean is if some people perceive or label women as assertive or that assertiveness to be aggression, just accept it.
Yeah.
So that's the fourth point which I wanted to touch. A fifth point, which is a combination of communication skills, have I think it's very important for all of us to develop and emphasize that. And over there, I want to specify the Asian woman
Yeah.
because I think the culture in Western is very different. From a very young age, what I think you must have seen with your daughter, I see with my two sons. Uh, they go through very different sort of communication skills,
Yeah.
storytelling. They,
Yeah.
they, they learn at a very young age. I was never taught about storytelling when I was young.
Yeah.
I just had to learn it. Networking, like I said, I learned when I was 30 plus. But yeah, so that's the fifth point, which is unconscious bias and how do we deal with those unconscious biases.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well put.
and the last point that I really want to touch upon is obviously I did talk about generic soft skills that they have to develop. But the last point that I really want to touch upon specifically for Asian women is
Mhm.
around the cultural expectations and career goals. So when we talk of cultural expectations, especially for Asian women, there's a lot of heavy shouldering which is done of you have to take care of family, you have to, be best mother, you have to make sure that your kids eat home food, which is
Mm.
good actually. I'm not saying no. I just actually cooked food for my family before coming into YouTube. And but yes, my husband did help me. I would not deny that. But that pressure puts a lot of guilt to women.
Yeah.
Saying that, oh, I have to go out for a networking event. And there's a lot of pressure saying that I have to cook. I don't want my son to eat pizza. I don't want him to eat burger. Or I don't I'm so I mean those are all good things to have, definitely, but I think as Asian women, because we've seen our mothers and our grandmothers who were for most of us, they were homemakers. uh, I think consciously, unconsciously, that pressure is on us culturally. You have to,
Mm,
that puts a lot of guilt. There's a lot of pressure to balance home. There's a lot of pressure to, have the humility.
mm,
Uh, n- and also, I would say, I don't know how true it is in all cultures, but at least because we are all from, I mean, because this is the Kannada diaspora, culturally, for women from our part, have also been somewhere consciously, unconsciously told not to speak up.
yeah,
So I think these things somewhere unconsciously start hampering women's career growth.
yeah,
And I wouldn't say that you should do it disrespectfully. There's always a respectful way of doing things. And that is what we all need to learn, is what I'm emphasizing on.
yeah,
And it's a skill we can learn. It's a skill I agree that we've not learned. Uh, but it's a skill we can all learn. So overcoming these cultural barriers, and I think for that, the first step I would say, Girishji, is to basically for every woman to understand and become aware, what is that cultural barrier for me? Because as you rightly mentioned, every area, whether it is Bangalore or Belgaum or Tumkur or Dharwad or Hubli, they have their own cultural differences.
mm,
Something which is actually very acceptable in Bangalore may not be acceptable in Belgaum.
yeah,
Something which is very acceptable in Belgaum may not be very acceptable in Hubli Dharwad.
mm,
So I think that self-awareness part, which I wanted to touch on last, a couple of points, is very important. So that's the cultural and career goals where, and a little bit touching upon the career goal part, where I think at least having some sort of a roadmap for my own career, being
mm,
very ambitious, and I think sharing that with family is very important.
yeah.
I wouldn't say sit down with a chart and say, tell husband, hey, you know what, this is my career goal and this is what it is.
No,
That's
it has to start at home only,
okay. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
I think somewhere, at least, getting that, because uh, the fact that my husband is putting my sons to sleep now is why I'm here today.
yeah,
And you don't hear a noise in the background. I think these are small things. The
yeah,
fact he fed them food, he gave them dinner, and I really didn't have to think about it.
yeah,
The fact that he sorted their clothes out for the school for the week. I think somewhere these are small things, and I think somewhere probably having that conversation.
yeah,
I would want to specify those having those conversations at home to set those career goals for women is very important.
yeah,
Uh, And lastly, I think self-awareness, which I've touched upon, is very important for every woman because they all go through motherhood journeys, every failure, learning they have, uh, those sort of things. So I think developing that self-awareness is very important. And I think I'll probably end with this thing I talk about is personal branding. It's very important for, again, specifically Asians to learn and understand personal branding and why it is important in today's world.
mm,
So that's a very, very important aspect, I would say. Just the part that also we've been told from a very young age that don't blow your own trumpet. Which I completely agree. It's not good to blow your own trumpet so much that, but at the same time, there is a way to do it where it doesn't look like blowing an own trumpet. Like that is what is called branding, which is why the words used are different there. It's
mm,
a skill, and I think personal branding in today's world is very important. Very important. There's nothing to shy away. I think from a very young age, again, because we are from Karnataka, the culturally we are very different. We've been brought up with these skill values, but which are fantastic values. Humility is a fantastic value to have. Uh, but having said that, a personal branding on how can we do it in a way which is comfortable for me. Something that is comfortable for you can be very different from me.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, trying to understand what is my own personal brand. For me, example, if people can have to ask me in terms of what could be my personal brand is very different from other people. For me, it's about authenticity.
Mm.
I live by authenticity. I've built my brand in authenticity, and by I've built my brand. And I wouldn't say I'm a brand. I wouldn't even want to say that, but I'm trying. I'm trying. I would say on my values, like I said, and that is where I have done my inner work. So that is very, very important in understanding who you are because everybody, Girishji is very different from Pradnya. Pradnya is very different from uh, person A, person B, person C. So understanding your own aspect is very important to build that brand. So it becomes very comfortable. Then it doesn't feel like blowing a known trumpet to you and to others.
Yeah, you're not comparing yourself to somebody else, so you're only getting or becoming a better person when compared to yourself yesterday, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I think on that note, I'll probably wrap up the woman. I know it was a bit, but I wanted to emphasize and talk a little bit about women and women leadership specifically because we are in UK. We have a lot of Asian women here. We do a lot of workshops with for Asian women specifically, and I have firsthand gone myself through those challenges. I still go through them. Not to say having run this I am figured it out, mastered it all. No, I have not. It's a learning journey for me, but I'm just sharing what I have seen has worked for me, for others. And I really want Asian women, Indian women, Karnataka women to shine and grow in their careers.
Very good, very good. I think a lot of people have got a lot of value addition from today's session. I think like you also have emphasized during this session about the importance of soft skills development and building your own self-confidence. One thing that has helped me is reading books. I remember Pranish talks about this. I'll say it in Kannada.
Hmm.
ತಲೆ ತಗ್ಸಿ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ತಲೆ ಎತ್ತಿ ಓಡೋ ನಡೆಯೋ ತರ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. Yeah. So, I have learned a lot from John C. Maxwell's book on leaderships and, values factor from John D. Martini and also concept of net weaving from Bob Little instead of networking, which might sound a little bit selfish. Whereas net weaving, which Bob Little talks about, is more about selfless connecting people whom you might not benefit at all, but then you might be benefiting somebody else when you connect them up later.
True.
Okay. So any other
I
closing
think
thoughts,
that
Pradnya?
the soft skill aspect itself is very important. I just wanted to share on that couple of examples. And I just want to touch a little bit upon the leadership. I know you specifically asked about leadership, and I am being very mindful of the time. I know we've run over the time now. You had said 1 hour, but just want to again, leadership is a very big topic, and we I can talk about it for hours and hours together. However, there are three pillars that I want to specify in terms of if specifically people are looking at leadership development, um, and three areas which we've seen we work and we've seen it works is leadership. As I said, begins from within. You have to do the inner work first. The success and leadership begins from doing an inner work. So I would say the first pillar is lead yourself first.
Yeah.
By that, what I mean is, I can give a broader perspective and not go into detail, is understanding habits, mindsets, relationships, how we work with people, skills. So, doing that work where we lead ourselves first, personal brand, I think that is one part which I think all of us who are aspiring to move into leadership roles and want to move into leadership roles need to focus on. There are a lot of strategies there. As I mentioned, there is journaling, there is a lot of self assessment. There's a lot of goal setting tools which are there. There are a lot of goal setting journals which have come. I'm pretty sure you must have seen, Girishji, some of them. Uh, Goal setting. So there's journaling, there's goal setting, there are a lot of tools like MBTI, a lot of techniques which are available free in the market for an individual to develop that. Second is, I think, as a part of leadership, second pillar I would say is leading teams. Over there, the people skills comes into picture, specifically again for technical people who do not want to, explore that part, but I think it's very important. So leading teams where, how do we, understanding the collaborative, how do we bring that collaborative synergy, one dream, one team sort of a vision, conflict management, influencing. So, developing skills which are related to people over there specifically. And again, over there are a lot of strategies over there. But yes, some of the things which, uh, as a part of that, which is very important for people to develop. And the third pillar, as a part of the leadership, is leading organizations. So over there, your strategic, so there's skill sets such as strategic thinking, problem solving, decision making, uh, CSR, community development, serving. So those sort of things. And across all of these, it's very important to develop skills. Some skills we already have, some skills we need to learn. We need to first identify the gaps, make a plan for it, have some journals, do reflective exercises. Uh, there are a lot of platforms, as you mentioned, which are there now, networking events, etc., which are there. So I just wanted to touch on that part of leadership because I know you specifically asked, and we did have as a part of our session as well, which we said that, we would be covering. But I just want to cover in nutshell in terms of leadership development
Mm.
around these three pillars majorly is what will actually really help people to move into those sort of roles. Closing points, I think you did ask about specifically soft skills. What are the how important? I think there's one specific data that I wanted to share where there was one data which had come around which which says that 92% of hiring managers consider soft skills more important than technical skills.
True.
And there was a study which was done by PMC, where a study which says that analyzing job posts, where they had analyzed job posts around 19,000 organizations. I've just made a note. They found that even in technology focused fields such as IT, engineering, manufacturing, right? Employers frequently, so 19, they had done a study around 19,000 organizations, which is a report by PMC. And they saw that uh, every employer, as a part of that study, seeked for soft skills, even in IT, engineering, and manufacturing units, such as
Mm.
critical thinking, problem solving, communication, creativity,
Yeah.
analytical skills, adaptability. So I just want to share this because a lot of technical people want data.
Mm.
They don't get convinced without data. So I had come prepared with my data, some data which I found, which I wanted to share with people. So yes, soft skills is very important, and especially today's world of AI, where there's so much of advanced technology, there's so much of advance in uh, AI everywhere. Uh, I think I want to share this example which I shared with you as well. There's a big IT company. I don't want to share the name, which wanted to hire a CEO, and they
Mm.
had two candidates, internal candidates, as a part of that role. There was one candidate who was extremely technically strong, and there was one candidate who had the abilities and skills to take people with him, to motivate people, who could work with people. And it is an IT company, okay? It is an IT technology company. I want to specify that as well. And obviously, as a part of the internal recruitment, internal interviewing, they interviewed both the candidates. And they ended up, in comparison, the other candidate A, who was strong in people skills, candidate B was extremely strong in technical skills. But in spite of that, and in spite of the company being an IT company, they choose the person A, who was not as technically strong as person B in comparison because of the people skills. I think this is a classic example, which is, I wanted to share this example specifically. I think I earlier it skipped my mind. This shows that how people skills, how soft skills, how people skills, how leadership skills. And this is just one example. I think this is there everywhere now. I can give so many examples.
Yeah.
There's one engineering college where we worked in Bangalore. I wouldn't want to specify the name because I would want to keep it confidential. And the principal, when we were on a call with the principal said, Pradnya, there is one big problem I have. I said, what is it, sir? He said, Pradnya, my students are an engineering college. My students are extremely technically strong. They get 90%, 95%. You give them a code, they will finish it in 2 minutes. But they cannot clear interviews, Pradnya.
Mm.
Their placements is uh, not as great, as technically strong the students are. So this
Mm.
is another example which I wanted to share. Of course, like I said, there are a lot of examples, but mindful of the time. So yeah, I think that is one. There's another college where we specifically worked, where it's an engineering college. Students are brilliant, technically very strong, but they are not unable to clear um, the non-technical rounds, the HR rounds.
Yeah, no, I think that there are a lot of examples, but somehow we never give the importance to the soft skills which we should be giving. Okay.
True.
I think, it might be not me, probably it would be better, Pratna, if you can share some of these tools which people can use, in the LinkedIn forum which we have, so probably we can discuss this later and then drop it or drop all the links or some data there which will help the people because of the, limitation of time we have. We've already exceeded by 10 minutes.
10
So
minutes. I know, I know.
yeah. So, thank you once again, Pragna, for taking out time from your busy schedule. I know, it's not an easy ask, but, you had a lot of preparation to do on this and then came to the session, added so much value. I think, in closing, what remember listening to somewhere that, in Mahabharata, Arjuna also heard Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, and then Dhritarashtra also heard Bhagavad Gita shared by Krishna through Sanjaya. But their takeaways were totally different.
Hmm.
Arjuna said, thank you, God, for clearing my mohas and all those things. Whereas Dhritarashtra said, see how cunning Krishna is. Even though Arjuna didn't want to fight, he is for, manipulated him so that he can fight.
Hmm.
So, the perspective of people who are watching this will be totally different. So, depending on them, the takeaways will be different as well.
True. Absolutely. You're very
Okay, so our goal here is to, add value so that you can take advantage of these sessions, learn from these sessions, and then, improve in your life and then go out and be a better human as Pragna shared today. So with that, goodbye to all of you. Thank you again, Pragna. Good night. Take care. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you so much. And of course, like you rightly mentioned, I'd be more than happy to share. I've mentioned some strategies and tools, few because of the time constraint, I wasn't able to dive into it. But yes, I'll be more than happy to share more tools and techniques on the LinkedIn group that we have. Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Pragna.
Thank you. Okay, so
ಅದೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ದೆ? Yeah.
the live is stopped.
Yeah. Live